Hello. In this video, I will work numbers 7, 8, and 9 from lesson 4 using the percent equation like we did in class. Now remember, the percent equation is percent times base equals amount. So remember, what we did first is we identified the percent, the base, and the amount. So if we read this first problem, Julie bought a leather sofa that was on sale for 35% off the original price, and the original price was $800. And they're asking us, how much did Julie pay for the sofa? So the first thing we're going to need to do is find out what is 35% of 800. So, of course, the percentage would be 35%. And remember, we have to change that to a decimal by moving it 2 places to the left. So that would be 0.35. The base is what you're taking the percentage of. And if you remember in class, we talked about the base usually following that word of because it is what you're taking the percentage of. So the base is going to be 800. The amount is our unknown. It's what we're looking for in this problem. So the amount, we'll just put a question mark. So if we apply the percent equation, we would have the percent, which is 0.35, times the base, which is 800. And we can enter that in our calculator, and that will give us 0.35 times 800 is 280. So Julie's going to pay she's going to get $280 off of the price of the sofa. So this is going to require an additional step that we didn't do on the front side. But we need to figure out what is $280 off of 800. So we need to subtract to find the discounted amount. And that would be 800 minus 280, which will give us the sale price of the sofa, which is $520. So another thing I want to point out here is that it is very important to read the problem. Don't just arbitrarily apply these values because it really makes a difference. If you don't have the right number with what it represents, you will not get the right answer. This is an example of the amount of discount. So if we look at these three examples of how the percent equation can be used, what we're using in this case is finding the amount of the discount by taking the discount rate, which is 0.35, and multiplying it times that original amount. All right, in example 8, we have this problem. There are 36 carpenters in a crew. On a certain day, 29 of this crew were present. And we're asked to find what percent did not show. Oh, they're trying to trick us up for work that day. So First, we can work this in two different ways, but I think the easiest way is to figure out, oh, wait a minute. They're giving us the amount that were present, the number of crewmen that were present, but they're asking us to find how many were not present. So if there were 36 total members and 29 were present, then the number that did not show were 7. So that's why in the previous example, or after the previous example, I stressed it's really important that you read the problem, because sometimes they're going to try to trick you, but if you're reading the problem and paying attention, you'll get the right answer. All right, so now we have to kind of figure out what is our percent. What is the percentage? What is the base? And what is the amount? So in this case, we're asked to find what percent. So that is the unknown. Now remember, the base is the whole amount, or what we're taking the percentage of. And they really kind of left that out of this question. But what they want to know is what percent of the crew did not show. And the crew is 36 carpenters. So that's our base. And the amount is the number that didn't show, which we found to be 7. So if we apply that percent equation, remember it's percent times the base equals the amount. So in this case, we don't know the percent, so we'll let that be x, times the base, which is 36, and that equals the amount. So 36x equals 7. So I'm just multiplying that and kind of turning it around. To solve this equation, we're going to divide by the number in front of x. So that would be 36. So x is equal to 0.194. Now remember, when you're using the percent equation, the answer you get as a percentage, or for the percentage, is actually in decimal form. So to change this to a percentage, remember from last week, we're going to multiply by 100, which moves the decimal 2 places to the right. So our final answer is 19.4%. All right, finally, in example 9, a student answered 86 problems on a test correctly and received a grade of 96%. How many problems were on the test if all the problems were worth the same number of points? So again, we want to identify the percent, the base, and the amount. In this case, the percentage is 96%, which as a decimal would be 0.96. Now remember, the base is the whole or the total amount. And the amount is the part of the whole. So what we're asked to find is how many problems were on the test. So that is the total number of problems. So in this case, we don't know the base, and the amount of problems that they got right were 86. So if we have P times B equals A, we have 0.96. We don't know the base, and the amount is 86. So to solve for this, we're going to divide both sides by the number in front of x, which would be 0.96, and we're going to get x is equal to 89.5. Now pay attention here. They did say in the directions to round to the nearest whole number. And so since 5 is the number to the right of the nearest whole number. That means we're going to round this up. But since 9, if you round that up, is 10, we're going to add that 1 to the 8. So rounded up to the nearest whole number would be 90. So 90 questions. I will also make a video to show you how to work these problems using the percent proportion. And I will get to the last example on this page in a completely separate video.